Welcome back to part 3 of the exam series. We're up to question number 13. Let's go. In a game, 2 fair spinners are spun. So spinner A has 1, 2, 4 and 6 and spinner B has 2, 2, 3 and 5. If the numbers on the arrows land are different, the score is the higher number. If the numbers on the arrows land on are the same, the score is 0. We need to complete the table to show the possible scores. So in each of these squares represents one game. So in that first game where you can see a 2, 1 was playing 2. Since 2 was the higher number, then 2 is going to be placed down as the score. That's the same situation in the next box. 1 is playing 2, 2 wins, so 2 is the score. Next one, 1 is playing 3, 3 wins, and in the top one, 5 wins. On the next row, this first box, 2 is playing 2. Those numbers are the same, therefore the score is 0. Next one's already done. In the third one, we've got 2 playing 3, 3 wins, and 2 playing 5, 5 wins. For the next game, 4 is playing 2, 4 is higher, so 4 wins. 4 is playing 2 again, so 4 wins. 4 is playing 3, so 4 wins. 4 is playing 5, so 5 wins. And the last one, 6 is playing 2, well, 6 wins. 6 is playing 2, 6 wins. 6 plays 3, 6 wins. 6 plays 5, 6 wins. That's a completed table. Write down the probability that the score is an odd number. So from our table, odd numbers, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 odd numbers out of a total of 16 possibilities. So 5 over 16. Part C. The same game is played using spinners C and D. The numbers on C are shown, so we can see those ones. And we need to work out the numbers for spinner D. We have been shown some of the possible scores. So, in this first game, 1 was playing with a number, and the number 4 must have won. So therefore that top number must be a 4. In the next game, 4 was playing with a number, and with it being a score of 0, that means those numbers must have been the same, so that also must be a 4. I'm going to skip over this row because we've got no scores in that third row. The fourth row, 7 was playing with a number and ended with a score of 0, which means those numbers must have been the same, so that must have been a 7. And in the last game, 7 was playing with a number and the number 8 won, which means that that last number must have been an 8. So we've got a 4, a 4, a 7 and an 8 to complete the spinner. Question 14. 2 people working at the same rate will take 6 hours to paint a room. Assuming that they all work at this rate, how long will it take 3 people to paint the room? This is a question on inverse proportion. Okay, if you've got 2 people taking 6 hours to paint a room, so 2 people taking 6 hours, you need to work out and imagine how long that job will take if only 1 person was doing it. If it's 2 people are taking 6 hours, then that 1 person would have to do the job of both of those, which means it will take twice as long. It'd be 6 hours for the first person's work, 6 hours for the second person's work, which means that 1 person will take 12 hours to complete that job. Now that we know that, if we split that job equally between 3 people, that 12 hours can be split between those 3 people. So 12 divided by 3 means that they can work for 4 hours each, and therefore 3 people will take 4 hours to paint the room. Now that's assuming they all work at this rate. In part B, it says in fact the third person works at a faster rate. How does this affect the time to paint the room? Well, if someone's working faster, that means it's going to take less time to actually complete the job. So it's going to be faster, which means it's going to take less time. Question 15. 3a plus b equals 7 and 6x plus 8y equals 40. Show that 9a plus 3b has a greater value than 3x plus 4y. Right, if you look at the first equation, 3a plus b equals 7, in order to turn that equation into 9a plus 3b, we're multiplying both of these numbers by 3. So basically this is just 3 times bigger than 3a plus b, which means the answer is 3 times bigger than 7, which means that that is 21. Okay, we're just multiplied by 3. If you look at the second one, 6x plus 8y is 40. Well, to get from 6x and 8y down to 3x and 4y, that's half the amount. It's half the amount of x's, it's half the amount of y's, which means that it's half the amount of 40, and half of 40 is 20, and we have done it. 21 is greater than 20. Question 16. Circle the point that lies on the line x minus 3 equals 0. Right, x is a coordinate. If we've got a set of coordinates like all of these possible answers, the first number is the x coordinate, the second number is y. That y does not come into this question, we're only dealing with the x's. So this is asking which of these 4 coordinates, when you take that x number, which is the first number in each of them, and you minus 3 from it, you get an answer of 0. Well, it's the first one. 3 minus 3 is 0. If you look at all the others, 0 minus 3 is minus 3. We want an answer of 0. Minus 3 minus 3 is minus 6. That's not 0. And 0 minus 3 is minus 3 again. Only this first one, when you do the x number minusing 3, do you get 0 as the answer. Question 17. A is a negative odd number. Circle the words that describe A squared. Okay, so you have to choose whether it's going to be negative or positive, and whether it's going to turn out to be odd or even. Well, first of all, let's decide whether it's going to be negative or positive. If we've got a negative number and we square it, that means you are doing a negative number multiplied by a negative number. If we do an example, if I do minus 3 times minus 3, which is a negative odd number, minus 3 times minus 3, if you times 2 negatives together, it becomes positive. That is going to be a positive 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. So it's going to be positive, and 9 is an odd number. So it's a positive odd number. So that means A squared is going to be positive and odd. You can check that with any negative number. So say if I do minus 5 squared, which means minus 5 times minus 5, a minus times a minus gives us a positive, and 5 times 5 is 25, and yes, that too is an odd number. So positive and odd. Question 18. Circle the ratio which is the same as the scale. 1 centimetre represents 1 kilometre. Right, this is all about metric units. So 1 centimetre represents 1 kilometre. That 1 centimetre is what the 1 represents in each of these ratios. Now the thing about ratios is that the units have to be the same, which means if that's 1 centimetre, that's supposed to be 100 centimetres, 1000 centimetres, and so on. So you're basically having to turn 1 kilometre into centimetres. So 1 kilometre, first of all, needs to go into metres. Okay, there are 1000 metres in that 1 kilometre. Now every metre is made up of 100 centimetres, which means that 1000 metres I need to multiply by 100. So 1000 needs to be multiplied by 100 to turn it into centimetres. So 1 centimetre represents 1 kilometre, means it's 1 centimetre to 100,000 centimetres. So there's the ratio. Question 19. Circle the percentage that is closest in value to 1/3. Right, once again, this is turning this into a decimal and then to a percentage. So 1/3 means 1 divided by 3. So I'm doing 1 and I'm dividing it by 3. How many 3's can I get out of 1? None. I haven't used that 1, so I need to carry it over to a next number. Once again, as before, we need to make sure we've got some zeros to put those onto. So the decimal points need to line up. I didn't use that 1, so that moves over. And I start again. How many 3's are in 10? Well, 3 3's is 9, with 1 left over. And that's now, once again, how many 3's are in 10? How many 3's are in 10? And this number is going to carry on forever. This is a recurring decimal. Now 0.333333 and so on. To turn that into a percentage, you just need to multiply it by 100. So if you multiply this by 100, all of these numbers will move 2 places up, which means that's going to be 33.333 and so on percent. So it's already not 30%, it's not 33, it's between these last two. And then it comes down to how you round it. So since these are all to 1 decimal place, we need to round this to 1 decimal place. So the first decimal place is that 3, and then we need to use the next number to decide how we round it. 3 does not make me increase that previous one into a 4, which means it stays as a 3. So to 1 decimal place, that's going to be 33.3%, and so that is the percentage closest in value to 1/3. And the last question for this part, work out the square root of 121 minus 13 minus 5 times 2 all squared. This is a BIDMAS question. So in BIDMAS, brackets will come first, so we need to work out the answer to 13 minus 5 times 2. Now, in order to do that, BIDMAS comes in again. We have to do multiplications before we do subtractions. So 5 times 2 is 10, so the bracket becomes 13 minus 10, and 13 minus 10 is 3. So I'm going to rewrite this question. It's going to be the square root of 121 minus 3 squared. Now we can work these out separately. The square root of 121, you need to know that 121 is 11 squared. 3 squared is 9, and so 11 minus 9 is 2. That's the end of this part. We'll carry on with question number 21 in the next part.